Welcome back to season 2 of Catch Some SoulShine, and today I have Michele MacGuire back. She is a psychic intuitive, and we discussed some really in-depth, powerful things about me and her. If you want to dig deeper, follow that intuitive nudge, reach out to somebody, whether it be Michele, myself. Our mission is to help you be the very best you can. If you have some feedback on this episode, please share it because I'd love to hear it. Let me know what you want to hear more of, and that's what I will share with you. Also, don't forget to check out my new Monday Minutes. They are very quick little tidbits of information and insight that you can listen to very quickly, and the first one went out last week. Without further ado, I am so excited to dig into this episode with my friend, Michele MacGuire. Please check her out on Better Mint Podcast. One more thing, I'd love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You have to hit that bell so that I can get more reach.
I am a psychic medium and I do readings for people. There are times I get in my own head and my ego gets in the way, my fears or insecurities. It's like, are my gifts strong enough? I have been asking my angels and my spirit guides for signs or for help strengthening my gifts or at least my confidence. And so I believe I need to tap into my intuition through meditation, and music is a form of meditation. And it's loud and clear to me that they want me to listen to music because it will help me clear my mind and help me really tap into my gifts. You have the gifts that you are meant to have and that you need, and they will develop as we feel necessary. But one way to help expedite the process is to meditate through music.
All right. So this is good so far, right?
Yeah. So excited.
Here's the next deck. So let's pull you a card out of here.
I was listening to a podcast about the quantum field.
Yes.
It wasn't about the quantum field, but it was, they were two psychic mediums, on the podcast, and they were talking about, they just happened to bring it up. And I was always wondering, like, what is like the quantum field and like a quantum leap, being your highest self? The quantum is the I just realized the quantum is the possibility of your past, present, and future. So they said, if you can think it, it's possible, but you have to put it into action. So I never really could understand what does this mean? The quantum, fill in the blank. But I just thought that was interesting.
I am participating in Jessica Hughes' Write It Real experiment, and it's a journaling experiment. Every day I journal, but it's not any kind of journaling that I've ever done. For example, my youngest son has some anxiety, depression, hasn't been successful obtaining a job, and we help him a lot. And I was just really like consumed with it. And I said something to Jessica, and she goes, why don't you journal, write it real? Like, he's successful, he's doing well, da, da, da. So I did. And he started a landscaping business. I wanted a house, a vacation home. And I didn't even have the money for a down payment. I didn't know how I was going to get the money.
So how did you get the house?
I made an offer. And the realtor said, can you come up with this down payment? And I go, yes, I can. Not knowing how I would. I came home, I cashed in a bunch of retirement. Wasn't enough. Called up my sister and I said, I really want this house, but I don't have. She goes, I just got a settlement from my divorce. I'm going to loan you $20,000. I go, okay. Wasn't enough. And then my husband got a personal loan, and we got this big bundle of money, and I put it down as a down payment on the house.
Stop it.
Yes.
That's incredible. I mean, you just don't know. That's the thing. Just write down what you want and let it go. You don't have to worry about the how or the what or the who. Just let it go and trust that the universe will give you what you need.
Ooh, this is such a good one. So this card is consciousness. It's in the consciousness deck and it's called optimism. Okay, I'm going to try what you did. Before I read what this says, you have finally come to that consciousness. You have these gifts. This is going to lead to a new career for you and something big. You're starting to get those little beams of optimism as your gift grows. That's my thought.
I love it. Thank you. I really needed to hear that.
Ironically, it's the first card in this whole deck. Bright future. A woman looks joyously at a sunrise over a beautiful valley. Abundant fruit hangs on the trees that surround her. This is a card of great value and achievement. Your reality is shifting in a much more positive direction. Look for an exciting new development in money, romance, or your career. This this could also manifest as a personal accomplishment or a creative success. Old blocks are falling away and you are choosing to see the light at the end of the tunnel. There's an increased optimism taking hold in your attitude, and you finally determined to raise your consciousness to a more positive outlook. This reveals a much more beneficial mindset than you may have had in the past. Your attitude of optimism ensures that a very bright future, perhaps one you may not have been expecting, is on its way. So the affirmation is, I choose optimism and joy throughout each day. I look to the future with hope and excitement.
Love it. That is everything for me. Woohoo! Thank you.
I mean, it's just what we started talking about, right?
Yeah, and honestly, it does resonate because I'm looking to leave my corporate career. Developing my mediumship abilities and doing readings for people has been more lucrative than I could have ever imagined. I believe that it's supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be hard. Like you were saying, what were you saying earlier when you're like, I always thought I had to work super hard and struggle. I forget what we were talking about, but that's not like I feel like that's been indoctrinated in everybody's life,
Yeah.
especially us as women.
Yeah.
We're meant to work hard in school, go to college, get a job, and it has to be a successful corporate career or traditional career, get married, have kids, play that perfect housewife, the perfect mother, the perfect employee, looking perfect, but not too perfect because then you're not relatable or it doesn't look real. And it's like, what the heck? I've lived my life working so hard, almost feeling like I'm going against the grain. And it's been a struggle. And finally, I've gotten out of my fear and have developed these gifts that I've always known I've had since I was a little kid. And I'm like, is this real? Is this how it's supposed to be? And it is. Life is things like this. It's supposed to be easy. I love that card was pulled. Thank you.
This is what I think about things being easy. And I've come to believe this by talking to hundreds of people about it. Those of us that have experienced really tough trials and darkness in our lives have two choices. We can either get caught up in that darkness and not escape, or we can emerge to the other side and be some of the brightest shining stars for those around us and those still in the darkness. That's what I think about what you just said. And I don't know about all your darkness, but I know that you have had some dark moments. I don't know. I mean, it just seems to me that people that have overcome these trials are really the stars.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I did about 2 years ago in October, I did some childhood trauma healing work. In that work, a lot of things have opened up. It's just interesting when you tackle your traumas, your hardships firsthand and not push them down and ignore them, how freeing it is and it's just liberating, and it gives you a whole nother outlook. And it changes your life because you can really respond to things that trigger you and think about why it's triggering you instead of just reacting and being in reactionary mode. And like I always thought as a little kid, throughout my whole life, I was just an anxious person, but I wasn't. My nervous system was programmed to keep me safe in situations as a child that I didn't feel safe in. And as an adult, things trigger me that make me feel unsafe because of those memories from childhood when I'm really not unsafe. And the way I react to those is no longer serving me. And so I've learned how to tap into my body and figuring out, okay, where is this coming from? And respond in a healthy way instead of react. So
There's two books, authors, people that I think of, and one of them is Louise Hay.
yep.
And she had, the body, focus on what body part it is. And she'll have like different affirmations and things that are really making that pain in that particular body part or that illness. And then the other one, and I can't remember the author, but the book is The Body Keeps the Score. That one is just so spot on, talking about PTSD and how we react to things and how our body really does keep the score.
And I think that Louise Hay book is You Can Heal Your Life, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm in the middle of reading it.
If I'm having pain in a certain area of my body and I kind of look up, what does this signify? It's like, yeah, that's right.
Right.
And that's why it's so imperative that we start releasing things.
Yeah.
Get rid of the baggage, not carrying it around with us anymore.
Well, also you were saying earlier how, you always told to be strong and not cry. But when your grandson passed away, like you had to get those emotions out. Like,
yeah,
you do have to, because that's pent up energy. And the energy will remain stagnant and it will manifest in unhealthy ways, whether it be being irritable, being pain in your back or in a part of your body, and it can make you sick. Literally keeping that negative energy, those negative emotions, and not moving them. It's interesting that came up.
Have you ever seen the experiment with tears?
No.
Of course, I'm a science guru. So these scientists did like swipes of tears and put them on a slide and examined them under a microscope. The tears of grief versus the tears of joy were like completely different.
No way.
Yes.
In the same person?
Yes. And in all, they did a study with a bunch of people. Grief tears, anger tears. Like,
I believe it.
Totally different than tears of happiness, joy. When you and I are talking and you're saying, yeah, you release those tears and get that out of your body. It's true. It's science.
Yeah. Well, also meditation. Did you hear about Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation practice? He actually has scientific proof that meditation will heal your ailments.
Yeah.
Cancer.
He had cancer.
Yeah. No, he got in a massive major car accident and he couldn't walk.
Oh, that's right. Car accident.
But there were people that he did this. It was a 7-day meditation. He did it for 1 day and he saw some results, but not really significant enough. He did it for like 4 days. I just listened to a podcast he was on talking all about this. He did it for 4 days. They were like, I'm not getting, I don't know. So they did it for 7. And literally he said people who couldn't walk were standing up in front of him. Like, he saw the miracle happen in front of him. Now, I don't know what this meditation is or how long, but there's now a new documentary out about this. It's called The Source. So you can Google it, The Source with Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Unbelievable.
I'm ready for my card now.
Serenity.
Love it.
I think this goes hand in hand with your first card where, and again, I'll read it, but I think you're at a time in your life where you're just at peace and you're scaling joy. You're doing what you're meant to be doing, and it's just going to explode. You're just at, God, I just can't imagine what you've been through. Interesting. When I first met you, you told me very briefly about your story, and I just was so in awe at what an open, honest, and just peaceful person you are in general. Like, you have such great energy, but I don't think that serenity was always in your path. But I do feel like you had to go through all of that in order to be what you are truly meant to be in this life. Those experiences were all lessons for you. And now you're reaping the rewards. And in that, you're just serene. You're just at peace. It's serving you really well. And it's going to manifest very positively for you. But let me look up what it says.
Okay. I lost my dad at an early age, but in the meantime, I was doing these cards and deep diving, and I used to pray for peace and serenity. Over the years, what I've come to realize is I don't have to pray for that anymore. I just have it. I have peace. It's kind of a miracle that I found this creative pathway to open me up to just have total peace and enjoy every single day of this journey.
I mean, that's what I see for you. That's where you're at. So it says, the card meaning, you're moving into a time of greater inner peace and tranquility. Peace of mind means feeling secure and knowing that you're always provided for. Even if your logical mind cannot fathom how a challenge could be resolved, peace of mind means that you trust that God will create a miraculous solution. This sort of faith is always warranted because faith is a key component in experiencing such miracles. By drawing this card, the angels reassure you that peace of mind is within you. You can feel serene even in the midst of great turmoil. It's a mistake to think that you have to wait until your life is problem-free before you can be happy and peaceful. The opposite is actually true. First, you work towards serenity, and then your life challenges lessen and disappear. Serenity is your natural state of mind, and the angels are now working with you to actualize this. I think it's already actualized for you. And it's funny because I used to live my life in constant worry and fear. Even when I was married and, we had dual income, I was always so stressed. We got to pay this credit card off. We have to do this. We have to do that. I can't, that was my life. Control this, control that. I had to be in control of everything. I had to be good and perfect and everything. I've recently realized that, like, now that I'm a single mom, I'm divorced, it elevated even more. Like, oh my God, now I only have one way of, income and the same bills I had when I was divorced or when I was married. And I have been worried, especially over COVID and like certain things. If a client chooses to go to RFP or something, I'm like, oh my God, what if I lose my job? And the fear and devastation that would cause me. And what do I do? What do I do? Oh my God. But I've stopped doing that because I know that to your point, if I focus on that lack, the lack is going to manifest. Mm-hmm. If I let it go and trust that the universe or God or whoever will catch me as I'm falling, it literally happens. I've seen it firsthand for myself. And I never believed that before. But like, how people are like, oh, I got a $10,000 check in the mail out of the blue and I needed $10,000. I'm like, really? That's BS. Things have happened in my life more recently where I don't know how or what is going to happen, but something's got to give. And all of a sudden it just happens. And I'm like, what? It is crazy.
So one of the things that I do to keep remembering that, write down my wins weekly. No matter how small. To your point about finding money coming to you, I had an account at a bank a couple of years ago and I closed out the account and I opened up a new account. And I don't know why I went to that bank. I discovered that I still had a savings account with, I think there was about $1,000 in there. And I didn't know it.
I'm telling you, it just happens.
So that was pretty cool. It's all about perspective. It's all about mindset. I could have somebody say, well, you didn't get more money. You had it. Well, I didn't know I had it.
Yeah, it would have been sitting there for the rest of your life. You would have
no idea. So yes, I did gain more money and we used that money to go on vacation to Vegas. So I decided to keep that account open and just kind of infuse a little bit of money in there every so often. And that's my little special vacation account. Okay, so this is my third and final book. And this one is called Jesus calling. I don't even care what religion you have or if you don't have a religion. My sister-in-law got me this book and I started reading it and it is so powerful. It's so good.
You
I'm gonna
just open it up to a random.
It has days. Open it up to a random day just because. Living in dependence on me is a glorious adventure. Most people scurry around busily trying to accomplish things through their own ability. Some succeed enormously, others fail miserably. But both groups miss what life is meant to be, living and working in collaboration with me. When you depend on me conditionally, your whole perspective changes. You see miracles happen all around, while others see only natural occurrences and coincidences. This is just what we talked about.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
You begin each day with a joyful expectation, watching to see what will happen. You accept weakness as a gift, knowing that power plugs in most readily to your consecrated weakness. You keep your plans tentative, knowing that my plans are far superior. You consciously live, move, and have your being in me, desiring that I live in you, I in you, you in me. It makes me want to cry.
Oh,
This is the intimate adventure I offer to you. So some people call that God, Jesus.
yeah.
Some
The
people call that
universe, source.
energy,
Mhm.
source. Some people call that the vortex, the flow,
Yeah.
Buddha. I don't care what you call it. It's all the same. I have love and God and joy and energy in me, and I let it radiate out. That one was for you. So, what's your take on that?
It just reminds me of like the universe has your back. That's something that I've started probably since the new year, have really, really not conceptualized, but actually believe. I grew up Catholic, believing in all of those things, but it's always been like a theory to me, a concept. Like, oh, it'll be okay. God would never let you down, and I'm just like, the pessimist in me or the realist in me would always like, well, prove it, you know? When I was a kid in my childhood trauma healing work, I realized that I had very porous boundaries as a child, and they kind of trickled into my adulthood. And finally, I said enough is enough, especially around work. I sort of stopped caring about the outcome and truly letting go and truly believing that it would be okay. I would figure it out how, I just don't know. But if I were to lose my job, or if I get laid off, or if we lose this RFP, like whatever it is, I stopped hanging on to what would happen or what I thought would happen, or trying to control the outcome. And I started just saying, you know what will be, will be. It's going to be okay, truly believing it, and allowing myself to live free, less stress, less anxiety. As soon as that happened, so much has occurred for me. I created a course on boundaries and coaching people one on one on, I call it the 3S boundary method. It's really about self worth and what you value, and you're worthy of what you value, and say no to all the rest. My readings, mediumship, and the readings that I do for people has come almost out of the blue, and it's like referrals and people are falling in my lap, and it's almost snowballing, and I didn't even try. If I were to get laid off, or if I lose my job, because things have happened at work where it could be a real possibility, something that I can't control. It's not performance based. It's just like things beyond my control. It's
Mhm.
like the second I stopped and let go, the second things started happening that I wasn't even trying. I almost needed all of this to happen, and that fear and me finally letting go to see the possibility and to see it actually happen. And so that's what I believe. Everything is like what you're doing, you see me in it, meaning him, Jesus, God, the universe, source, whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I see. It's like he's there, or the universe is there for you. Like, see the possibility and know that it's there for you and trust that it'll happen. Stop trying to control it, because control is part of your ego. Fear is all your ego. Ease is your intuition and your divinity. And just trust and faith is really what it's all about. So that's kind of, I don't know, long-winded answer of, that is something that is just validating for me that, number one, I'm on the right path. And number two, my trust and faith, my letting go, is actually manifesting into something real.
When I lost Brad, I didn't really lose him. He's still around, but you know what I mean. He passed. It was just such a horrible, traumatic, deep, dark pit for me. And I remember one morning laying in bed and I didn't want to get out of bed, but I prayed and I asked Brad and God, please give me something. I mean, I know you're okay. I never lost faith. I knew that he was okay, but I just needed something. And it was in November and I debated on whether or not I would decorate the house for Christmas. And then I got up and I said, okay, I will. And I was washing the big picture window in the living room. And this blue jay flew down on this branch right in front of the window and just stared at me. And I was like, oh, that's really weird. I do look for signs. I'm open to the signs. So when I saw this blue jay, I thought, huh. And then I thought, oh, I got to get a picture. I'm fumbling and I'm trying to get my phone, and then it flew away. So I looked up the spirit meaning of the blue jay, and, argumentative and boisterous, and don't get in a debate with a blue jay because you won't win. Yeah. But yeah, they're very protective. They would make great attorneys or debaters or something like this. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was Brad. That was my sign. Before Brad died, he was a ferocious debater. Like, do not get in a debate with him because you will not win and he won't let it go. He said to me, and he said to his counselor, actually, he said it to his counselor, and he might have mentioned it to Barry. I think when I get things situated here, I'm going to be an attorney, like my dad. But I want to represent the little people that don't have a voice.
So cool.
So I feel really strongly that if you are open to the signs and you get away that clutter and that negative mindset and just be open to receive, you're going to get them. They're always available.
I agree. And I have to say, in that shared deck that we both have, the Doreen Virtue deck, there is a signs card. One thing I don't love about the description, it says don't get caught up in specific signs, just see them in everything, be open to anything. I also, though, do truly believe that if you pick something specific and you ask, I want to see, like I asked my grandmother the other day, show me a Milky Way bar, because those were her favorite candy bars. And I don't eat Milky Ways. I like Snickers. So, so I'm like, I'm not going to see a Milky Way because I don't have them in my cabinet. I'm like, when am I going to see it? But I needed confirmation on something from her. And so I asked for a Milky Way. I was at the grocery store with my girls and we're at the checkout line. I never look at the candy in front of the checkout. It was self-checkout. I never look there because I'm so busy and I'm like trying to figure out, like, I want to make sure I'm scanning everything right and whatever, getting out of there. But my daughter grabs a thing of like Tic Tacs. And I look up and I see the Tic Tacs and I look right over and I see the Milky Way. Like it just went, I'm like, oh, there it is. So I do think that you can ask for specific signs if you really want to get detailed, but you don't have to.
At first, I was talking to myself, a blue jay, like I should be seeing a cardinal right now,
Right,
but no,
right.
But no, I was just open to receive whatever sign was coming to me, and it was a blue jay, and the meaning of the blue jay was spot on.
I see blue jays. It's funny actually that you say that. In my backyard, I have a big fenced-in backyard, and oops, all my cards just fell. There were two blue jays. One was making like this brutal noise and like on the fence and just like staring and sitting there and just making this weird noise. And I looked out, I'm like, okay, whatever. And then it kept happening and kept happening. And I finally went out there and it was like it was talking to me. I've never seen them interact in that way, yelling, like trying to get my attention. I finally go out by the fence and it's just sitting there. Finally, it flies into the tree and it keeps doing it and keeps doing it and eventually flew away. But then there was another one making a prettier sound. But like that, it was very weird, like similar to you, where it just that's never happened. And I've lived here almost 10 years. Like,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I wonder who that was. It had to have been somebody.
Somebody very vocal.
So I want to pull your last card.
Okay, awesome.
This is the map oracle cards, Colette Baron Reed.
Okay.
This is a newer deck, brand new. I just recently got it. Interesting. Okay, so I didn't read the whole thing, but I got the gist. So for you, here's what I'm feeling. You're entering uncharted. So I didn't even tell you what card you got. You got the compass card. So you're entering uncharted territory. I don't know what that means, but I think you might. You're entering uncharted territory. Sometimes I think you're wondering if you're going in the right direction or if you're doing the right things. And I'm here to tell you that as long as you stay true to yourself and you listen to that intuition, because you do have this gift, like listen to your divine intuition and it will not steer you wrong. I think if you're feeling a little anxiety or you're not feeling like maybe a potential opportunity or decision is not in alignment, listen to that because your gut will tell you and you'll do the right thing if you just listen to that higher power. That's what's coming up for you. I don't know what that means for you, though.
Okay, you want to hear something? I'm multifaceted, right? Yeah. I'm an artist. I'm an author. I'm a podcaster. I want to make courses. This is the exact words that I was thinking before you said that. I just need some direction on which way to go first.
You already know the answer. You just have to look within. I think I think there's, and I'm not reading anything. This is what I'm feeling for you and what I'm getting. There are certain opportunities for you to think about. Either they're not aligning or you're not ready for it yet. Like you have to do something else first. Whatever your heart is telling you to do first, whatever feels the most authentic, I think is your first choice. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that whatever your other opportunities are not authentic to you. I just don't know if now's the time. Mm-hmm. But I do think you know what those are, and I think you can discern the difference between them. And if if you say to me, no, I don't, you do. I think you just need to get quiet and really listen to what your heart is saying versus your head. I don't know if that resonates, but that's what I'm feeling.
I have this knowing that I have to create some courses around healing.
Yep.
With creative practices and implementing and mindset and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, and I don't exactly know why, I haven't pushed start. And I know that I have a lot going on. I work full time. I have my granddaughter here a lot. I was writing my chapter for that book. The podcast.
So here's what I would say to that. There's resistance. Mm-hmm. And based on what we talked about earlier, I think you're afraid of the success. I don't think your nervous system is programmed to feel safe with that amount of abundance. But I'm honestly here to tell you, like when I first met you, my gut, and I don't think I told you this, my gut was she needs to create a course healing through artwork because you're so gifted and how effective it was for you in your healing. Mm-hmm. I just remember you sharing that with me and you are so gifted. I saw that as your calling. I actually thought you were already doing it to the point I forgot that you had told me you were a nurse I feel like I've already manifested that in my mind on your behalf. I didn't realize until today that you weren't already doing it. And so that to me tells me I think there's just a block, some sort of resistance. And what I want you to do is get quiet and figure out where that's coming from. It could be something like from when you were a kid. So let me give you an example. Yesterday, I had reached out to a friend because I want to put together a 3-month coaching package for my readings. So I can truly intuitively, with my divine gifts, coach people through anything. And so I started getting in my head on I need to be more specific into who I'm tackling. I reached out to my friend and I'm like, I'm blocked. I can't even get an email out to tell people I want to do this, to pilot it. And she was like, well, where's this coming from? And I realized in talking to her, it came from me feeling debilitating anxiety because I felt like I didn't know who my target market was. And it was preventing me from moving forward, which reminded me of when I was a kid. I was in a very high stress private school in elementary school, and it was a very prestigious private school. I felt dumb because it was so hard for me. I always, like, if I had come home with homework and I didn't know how to do something, I would feel debilitating anxiety and I would start crying. And my mom would be like, what's the matter? What's going on? And I'm like, I can't do this. And I just didn't know what to do. So that's me. My block was me thinking I was my 10-year-old self, not able to do this work when honestly, it doesn't matter who my target is. I'm just testing it out. So let's coach people on different things and just see where it goes. You know what I'm saying?
That resonates with me because I have been waffling back and forth to who can I help? Do I need to help people in recovery? Do I need to help grieving moms? Do I need to help grieving children?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I needed to have that lesson to tell you that it's your lesson too.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Just get it out there.
Right.
Seriously, you can fine tune it later, but get it out there. And anyone who needs some sort of healing, let's do it through art.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. This has been such a fun episode. Where can people reach you if they want to, get some readings or work on themselves or get a course?
If they want to book a reading with me or even do boundaries coaching, my podcast website has links to schedule it. That is bettermint, MINT podcast.com. I am on Instagram at bettermintpodcast.com, but also you can DM me on my private Instagram account. It's at Michele MacGuire, and Michelle with one L, MAGUIRE. Feel free to DM me and we can figure out how to work together. I'd love it.
Awesome. I'm going to have all of those in the show notes too, so people could just click and link. Thank you again for joining me. I got a lot of personal insight on this, and I hope you did too.
I absolutely did. A lot of validation. Thank you, Dawn. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for joining me today on this episode. It was actually a pleasure for me, and because of this episode, I am making some changes. I just released a top-selling book, Radical Freedom. I developed a new journal, free for you, to go along with my chapter in the book. I will have the Freedom Journal, to get your journaling process started, linked in the comments. So go ahead and grab it. I'm also going to create some art courses. So thank you, Michele. If you want to reach out to her to get some insight on yourself, check her out on Betterment Podcast. I will see you next week.